Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib, and we have a great show for you, too. Great show for you today, easy for me to say. We would like to welcome everyone watching us on Fight TV. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to call and ask questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. And we'll be here till about 9 o'clock tonight. And just a reminder, man, if you guys want to call in early so we can get to you. Don't call in 5 minutes before the show ends and expect to get on. It's not going to work. So anyway, today we're going to talk about the World Boxing Super Series is in talks to put on a heavyweight tournament. But don't get too excited yet. Don't get too excited. Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter is this weekend. And we'll have a full review here later on. But first, we get started with the PBC on Fox. Peter Quillin versus Alfredo Angulo, 10 rounds, super middleweights. I'll tell you what, I wasn't expecting a whole lot with this fight. I really wasn't. I wasn't expecting a whole lot with this card. But I tell you what, man, this card turned out to be really, really good. I was really pleasantly surprised. I thought they did a great job. I thought the fights were good. I thought the main event was good. Alfredo Angulo, in an upset, wins a split decision over Peter Quillin by the scores of 96-94 for Quillin and 97-93 and 96-94 for Angulo. This was an action-packed fight, man, from start to finish. Quillin started off well, but Angulo was landing the harder shots throughout the fight. He was hurting Quillin at times. Quillin was busier, but Angulo was just landing the harder shots, man. I had Angulo winning the fight, but it was definitely close. After the fight, Caleb Truax went to social media and called out Angulo, and we'll see what happens next, man. That seems like a logical fight to me. Beeb, I know you were probably as surprised as I was that Angulo won that fight. Break it down for us.
Well, I didn't really have it close, to be honest with you. I had it 97-93. I had it 7 rounds to 3. So I didn't really have it too close. But the thing was Peter Quillin, again, I don't want to take anything away from Alfredo Angulo, but Peter Quillin looked very, very flat last night. For whatever reason, He just looked flat. He was gassed. He had a hard time dealing with Angulo's pressure, and I think it wore him down a little bit. It put a lot of mental and physical stress on him because he was breathing with his mouth wide open right after the third round. I gave Quillin the first 2 rounds, and then I didn't give him another round till the 12th. And even though Angulo is very slow, one thing he did do very well last night was the jab. He was very consistent with the jab. He kept shooting it. Another beautiful move that he was doing was he was actually dipping down, and he was trying to sell that jab to the body. And as he dipped down and he kind of leaned forward a little bit, he'd come over the top with the right hand on a number of occasions. And he was able to, feint his way into landing that right hand. He was selling Quillin the jab to the body or the hook to the body, and he was coming over the top with the right hand. So although he doesn't have the reflexes of a top supreme level fighter, an elite level fighter, and he doesn't have the speed and quickness and the athleticism of an elite level fighter, Angulo knows how to fight. He does the best with what he has, and there's no quit in him. And he was in phenomenal shape. And shout out to my boy Ryan Hong, because he just told me that Quillin was a plus 1,500. He was a 15, not Quillin, excuse me. Angulo was a 15-1 underdog last night. So if anyone put money on Angulo, that's a big score. They went to the bank with that one. But it was an entertaining fight. Quillin could not keep Angulo on the outside. Quillin's legs didn't look great in that fight, and he would get hit with shots, and he would stagger. His knees would buckle. He looked like he was dazed on a number of occasions, whereas Quillin really, really couldn't do any damage to Angulo at all. And this is one instance where you could just throw the punch stats out the window because it didn't matter. Because while you watched this fight, you could definitely tell who was in control of this fight, who was the ring general in this fight. Okay, and you could say that Quillin outlanded Angulo, but just by the naked eye, it really didn't look like he did by much. I mean, it didn't look like he was throwing a ton of punches in this fight. Maybe he was just throwing jabs and stuff, and maybe they were just touch punches. They would get off me punches, but he didn't land. On occasion he would land a nice hook here and there. But one problem with Quillin, and I know Ray Mancini and I think Dominic Brazil said the same thing, is does keep his chin way up in the air, and to compound that problem, he keeps his hands down by his chest. So we already knew he had some defensive liabilities, but his offense has always been his best defense. But when the offense is absent, like it was last night, when he didn't have that fire inside him, when he didn't have he didn't bring much in, didn't seem like he brought a lot of intensity with him last night. Had a kind of a bewildered look on his face right from the outset. Almost looked like he didn't want to be there. And again, I don't want to take anything away from Angulo because he, put on a great performance, did everything he could, and he was definitely in phenomenal shape, and his body looked, he looked like he trained hard for the fight. So we don't want to take anything away from Angulo.
Right.
But I just expected so much more than Quillin. And apparently so did the odds makers, and so did just about everyone else, because he was a 15-1 favorite. And I'll tell you one thing. He did not look like a 15-1 favorite. He looked like a 2-1, 3-1 underdog last night, if you want to know the truth. So this does open the door for Angulo. Let's see if he has reinvented himself at 168 pounds. It's almost impossible for me to envision him winning a title at 168 with the young guns that we have up here right now with, Caleb Plant, Benavidez, all these guys, Eubank, Callum Smith. There's no way he beats any of those guys, but he makes for must-see TV. He's an entertaining fighter. He's not going to quit. He's going to fight hard, and he's going to make for exciting fights. And him and Truex, because of the styles, they're both grinders on the inside. That would be an outstanding, entertaining fight to watch, and it would be something I wouldn't mind seeing. So, shout out to Caleb Truex. Yeah, call him out. Let's make that fight. That's not a bad fight at all. But Quillin, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what is next for him, what he can do.
Where does he go from here? I mean, listen, man. I mean, he moved up. This guy was a 15-1 favorite, man.
Yeah,
and 15, and that's why they put him in there.
Yeah, this was supposed to be a soft touch, but here's the problem. Ever since that Jacobs fight, Quillin's been in rebuilding mode, right?
Yeah.
But even in these rebuilding confidence builder type fights, he hasn't looked great.
No, he really hasn't. He hasn't at all.
The plan hasn't really worked. So you can't even step him up now. So now he seems like he's kind of like in limbo right now. Again, great question. Where does he go from here? I don't know.
I don't know either. Listen, here's the thing. If Angulo, I can say Angulo can at least get a title shot. Now, will he win any of the titles, man? I don't know.
No.
But I didn't think he was going to listen. I didn't think he was going to win last night either. But that being said, would he be favored over any of the champions? Obviously not.
No.
All right. But listen, man, if they gave him a shot against Caleb Plant, or they gave him a shot against, the Darrell winner, the Darrell Benavidez winner next week, I don't mind it. I could watch that. Or if they want to put him against Caleb Truex, that's fine too. What do we do with Quillin at this point? He's not beating any of the champions. He's not even coming close.
No.
He's moved up. Where does he go now? What is he going to move up in weight again? He can't.
No.
He's too small.
With all due respect,
I don't know, man. This, we could be
like a shell of himself last night. He really did.
And he got hurt. I thought he did pretty well in the early, but I thought he got hurt early.
Yeah.
And that was the issue. And And he really, he tried to collect himself and everything like that. But, I mean, he was getting walked down.
It was amazing how Angulo was able to land at will. And so clean and so flush.
This is Alfredo Angulo we're talking about.
Exactly, because he's not a whirlwind.
No.
He's not flash. He's not flash. He's not Speedy Gonzalez.
No. This was like that squash match that you watch. This is what the squash match that you put together on wrestling or whatever. You see the big guy taking on the little guy or whatever. That's what this was supposed to be. This was a showcase bout. Quillin was supposed to win this fight and then go to the next, get back on track for a title. And it didn't work out that way, man. It didn't even come close. I was completely shocked.
Utterly shocked last night.
The way he fought though was really good. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's like, where is this guy's on a two win streak now. All right, he's won his last 2 fights. This is a big one. This one is a big one. He fights Caleb Truax. Man, I think that's a good fight too. And you know what? I think listen, he's got a good shot to beat him.
Who do you have in his corner last night? Abel Sanchez?
I believe it was Abel Sanchez. Yeah, it was Abel. Yeah. So whatever Abel's doing, man, is working. I mean, he's got him on Sogo said he's on that Mexican meat regimen. Yeah, I mean, Abel's the right guy for him, and he could, have some new life, man, here. You could have some new life. I think, would you like to see him fight Caleb Plant?
Who?
Angulo?
No, I'd like to see him fight Truax.
Truax?
Yeah.
And if he gets by Truax?
Gets by Truax, then he's knocking on the door.
He's right there, right?
He's knocking on the door.
Yeah. He is. He's right there, man. I'll tell you what. It was good though. I liked watching it.
I love upsets too.
Yeah. Yeah, just one of those fights, man.
This happens on a lot of occasions. Remember when Chris Algieri fought Amir Khan? And I actually thought he beat Amir Khan, but he didn't get the decision. I think he lost on all 3 cards, 115 and 113. Mm-hmm. But on paper, we thought Khan was going to blow right by Algieri.
He should have, yeah.
It's awesome when you see on paper a specific matchup, but then when you watch it live, it doesn't play out the way, it doesn't go according to script.
Well, that's why they fight.
Yeah.
I mean, we can call it all day on paper, and then hey, this matchup is terrible on paper, but then they put them in the ring, and we got a story here.
I said last week when we talked about this, I didn't think Angulo had a snowball's chance in hell of beating Peter Quillin.
No,
I didn't.
Neither did we. I didn't either.
I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback and be like some people. Oh, I picked Angulo, but I just didn't tell you last week.
I had Angulo by split decision. That was my pick.
By split decision. I even have the scores: 96-94, 97-93. No, I'm not going to.
Exactly.
I'm not going to be ridiculous like some people.
Yeah.
We won't mention names. But we know who we're talking about.
Well, let's address the 800-pound elephant in the room, because a lot of people in the chat are asking about it. Where, we talked about, where does Peter go from here, Quillin go from here? Is he done?
Yeah. He's done.
Listen, we can't find a place for him.
I'm sorry. He's
not going back down in weight. He ain't moving up in weight. He just lost to a guy he was supposed to win. Big. He's going, yeah. Well, listen, if I'm his manager, I don't know what to do with him right now.
I'm not here to rain on anyone's parade. I'm not here to crush anybody's dreams. But I think he's done.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say something really, really controversial, possibly in some people's opinion. I think Danny Jacobs ruined him.
Listen, I don't hate that argument.
He was never the same after that fight.
No, he wasn't, because that was another fight he was expected to win.
Yeah.
Everybody thought,
that fight. I picked him to win that fight too.
Yeah, I did too. I had Quillin by knockout. I thought Quillin was going to put him away, and that was another one that Quillin was supposed to be. Hey, this was his coming out party against Danny Jacobs, another Brooklyn guy, and everything like that. And he got pasted.
Jason,
and it wasn't just an ordinary beating. It was got embarrassed.
Yeah. Jason just said Quillin versus Chavez Jr. next.
Why not? Well, hey, listen, man. I know Chavez doesn't want to be part of Angulo now because that was the one he was talking about. He was like, maybe me and Angulo or whatever. Remember a couple weeks ago he was talking about that. I guarantee he ain't calling Angulo out now.
That ain't happening.
No, son. Oh man. All right, let's talk about the co-main here. Chris Kolbert versus Miguel Beltran Jr. 10 rounds lightweights. Now, Chris Kolbert scored a first-round KO over Miguel Beltran. It was a right hand to the ear and just put Beltran out. I mean, he went down face first, and he was out as soon as he got hit. This was a scary thing to watch, but I had to watch it a couple of times because when he hit him, it just looked like he just it didn't look like a particularly hard shot. You know, when I first saw it.
It was so short.
Yeah.
You couldn't really see the impact because of the angle.
Right. It didn't look like a particularly tough shot. But after that, man, for sure. I mean, he was, listen, man, when I saw him go out, because his arms didn't protect him, he went face down.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
He went limp. His body went limp.
Is it me, or does he remind you of Adrian Bronner, Kolbert?
I'm going to be honest, and this is just my opinion. And you know what? It doesn't even mean anything, really. I'm not saying my opinion doesn't mean anything, but what I'm about to say doesn't really mean anything when it comes to boxing ability and skills. He came out trying to act like Deion Sanders. He had the big act.
Yeah.
My big thing is I don't like anybody that can't be themselves.
Yeah.
Like Broner tried to be like Floyd.
Uh-huh.
This young man's trying to be like Deion Sanders. Just be yourself, man.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. Don't be a caricature of somebody else. You know, and once again, you know, beautiful win, great. But all the other antics and stuff, it seems like he was overcompensating for something, trying too hard to be cool, you know? Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean anything. Maybe his boxing ability can trump all of that. Maybe it can overshadow all that. All this other stuff doesn't mean anything, possibly. But it does to me from a psychological standpoint. Because if you don't have an identity, then it leaves me to believe that there's something missing inside you psychologically. So guys like that, I think, who are trying to be somebody else and don't have their own identity, it seems like there's just something missing in their psychological makeup. And to me, when a guy like that is pressed and pushed and asked to dig down deep, those are the guys I think that are fragile psychologically and mentally, and they may break under the pressure. Now, Broner doesn't break, so to speak, but he kind of resigns in there, if you will. He goes into survival mode.
Yeah.
And he stopped. And to me, and again, I'm not in there. I'm not questioning his heart. I'm not saying anything. In the Maidana fight, he hung in there and he showed a lot of heart. But it looked as though in certain fights, like with the Porter fight, you know, and the Mikey Garcia fight and the Maidana fight, and even the Pacquiao fight, he goes into survival mode and he you know, just tries to survive and not get knocked out. And doesn't look like he's trying to win. So this guy, to me, possibly may have that same type of makeup where if he can't have things his way, he could, you know, go down that same path, so to speak, in my opinion, possibly. And a lot of people are already comparing him to Broner. A lot of people are already saying maybe when he steps up, he'll get exposed like people think that Broner did. I don't know, but
well, I think he's only got like 5 knockouts. That's why last night was so interesting, because he's only got like 5 knockouts on his record here. So he's not known as a big power puncher. But again, if you get caught with a shot you don't see, you're going out, man. But he reminded me of Adrian Bronner by the way he came out, the way he kind of carried himself, and the way, you know,
he's put on a show.
Yeah, that's kind of what he reminded me of.
Go out there, I'm gonna say Dominic Brazil, I thought did a great job commentating last night, because when all that was going on, he said, "Okay, we get it. Now let's see if the kid can fight."
Yeah.
So he was kind of saying, "Let's look past all these shenanigans and these shenanigans should be irrelevant. You know, now let your boxing do the talking for you. So in other words, all that stuff isn't really needed if you can fight. In other words, that was the takeaway I got from what Dominic Brazil was trying to say last night.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean,
I thought he did a good job. I mean, I think that was the first time I've ever seen him, maybe the first or second time I ever saw him commentating. I thought he was pretty solid.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I watched it with the sound down. I was doing other stuff. I had the headphones in. And I was doing some other stuff. Manny Gatillo, thank you so much, man. We appreciate it, man.
We needed that. We were in a drought lately. we haven't gotten them in a while.
Thank you so much.
And I got to start doing some more videos during the week because I've been slacking myself. But guys, chip in. We're still trying to buy the equipment, so any little bit will help. Even $1, whatever you can give, that'll help us because I'm still trying to get a new mic. Hopefully, I'll get it next month. But go ahead, Eric. I don't mean to cut you.
No, you're fine, man. Oh, you're fine. All right, so let's talk about. I thought he looked good. I think it's again he's young. It's still early. He's only got 13 fights, but he looked good last night. I'll tell you that. He did look good last night. Thomas Delorme versus Terrell Williams, 10 rounds welterweights. Delorme won a unanimous decision over Williams by the scores of 98-91 twice and 96-93. Delorme almost stopped Williams in the last round, man. Dropped him and everything. Yeah. This was a good fight. I mean, I granted that, the scores were a little bit lopsided, and I get it. This was a solid fight, man. Both guys having their say here, man.
I tend to do this every couple shows. I always jump on the commentators, and we get criticized all the time for ragging on commentators. But did you hear what Ray Mancini said to Marcos Villegas?
No, I didn't.
Marcos Villegas said that this was a one-sided fight, and Ray Mancini said, "What are you talking about? You never fought before. You don't know what a tough fight is. This fight was competitive." And he goes, "You need to think before you say something stupid like that." And this was on the air. He said all this live.
Wow.
And I thought that was totally unprofessional. And then lo and behold, when the scores were announced, 98-92, 98-92. Oh, real close fight, Ray. You had it right on the money. Wow. And just like with Teddy Atlas, even though I'm not a big fan of Kriegel, he was like kind of really being unprofessional with Kriegel. You just don't talk to people like that on the air that are supposed to be your colleagues. You can give them, but he said you think before you say something stupid like that. The fight wasn't okay. The rounds were hard fought.
Yeah.
Okay? And there were moments where there was good exchanges by both fighters. So there were competitive moments in pieces of the rounds, in spots of the rounds. But again, when you apply the 10-point must system, just like we talked about Fury versus Wallen, if you apply the 10-point must system, the fight's not close. You don't score blood. You don't score you don't score a guy trying hard. You don't score a guy landing a good shot in spots. You score for the guy who's doing consistent quality work throughout. And Delorme, I thought, won at least 8 rounds. You could even argue he won 9. The only clear round you could give was the 3rd round to the other guy. So I thought Delorme won very wide. And for Mancini, just because, there was good exchanges and the rounds were hard fought, Delorme dominated the fight on the scorecards. And that's all Marcos Villegas was trying to say last night. And, I thought that Ray Mancini was totally unprofessional. And Williams, just because Williams had some moments in spots of rounds, doesn't mean he won the round. You can't win a round by landing 1 or 2 punches when the other guy's landing 15 or 20.
Right.
Okay? So, and then with the knockdown on top of it all, Delorme Delorme won a wide decision, and that's all Vegas was trying to say. So,
when I always think of like fights like this, I always go back to the Steve Forbes Oscar De La Hoya fight.
Yeah.
where, I mean, it was as competitive as a one-sided fight as you're going to get. When you looked at the scores, Forbes didn't win a round, I don't believe. If he did, he only won one. But he was there for all 12 rounds and was competitive for all 12 rounds, but he just wasn't winning the fight. But he was there.
Williams was there. He was in Delorme's face. He kept coming.
Yeah.
There was no quitting him. But he lost the fight. Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
But, yeah, I did not hear that. I didn't hear that. Wow. That's insane that you'd say that to somebody like that. I mean,
you
especially
scored
on
damage
air like that.
Listen to Igloo. You scored damage, you dummy. No, you score for the fighter who's winning the rounds by the areas of the criteria. Right. You don't score extra points for a guy that got cut. Just because a guy gets cut, you don't give the other guy more points for that. So in other words, if I get punched like Marquez, he gets punched in the eye all the time, and his eye gashes open all the time. So if that happens in one round, okay, and then Marquez wins all the rest of the rounds, are you going to not give him those rounds because he's got a cut on his eye? I mean, stop it. You want to call people dummies? You're the dummy if you're trying to score boxing like you score Mortal Kombat. You don't score damage. You don't score damage. You don't score facial damage. You don't score facial damage. It's not part of the scoring criteria. Clean, effective punching, effective aggressiveness, defense, and ring generalship. Nowhere does it say if you make your opponent bleed, you get extra points.
No.
That's bullshit.
Igloo.
Just because Fury's eye was cut by the laces of somebody's glove, arguably, that doesn't mean that the other guy gets. It's not like hitting a 3-pointer. You don't cut the guy in the face and you get like and it's like when hitting a 3-pointer, we're gonna give you 5 rounds automatically because you cut the guy. That's so stupid. You know, it's stupid.
Igloo, did you have Otto Wallen winning that fight last week? This should tell us everything we need to know. Did you have Otto Wallen winning that fight last week? Because I have a feeling he had Otto winning that fight.
Otto Wallen
and
won.
That was a clear 10-2 fight.
Otto Wallen, a cut is not effective damage if that's the only thing you did.
Right.
It's not effective damage if you do one thing. If you punch somebody in the nose who bleeds, some fighters bleed very easily. You could jab them in the eye and touch them, and if they have scar tissue on their eye already, like Marquez bleeds from the eye every fight.
You know what? Here's the other thing too. All right, so if that's the case, I don't even know that I had Wallen winning that round, that third or fourth round when he got cut.
He didn't even win the round. He cut him in.
And he cut him.
He didn't even win the round. He cut him in.
Give him that round.
But Igloo says he won because he bled. He said Wallen won because he made Fury bleed.
Yeah.
That's not how you score a fuck. So if you punch someone in the nose and you make them bleed, and then you get outboxed the rest of the fight, you don't get extra points for making somebody bleed. Who told you that? Who gave you the only
casual son?
It's just so stupid if you think that you're scoring blood. You don't score blood.
Igloo says that he definitely won the round, and I don't know that that's the case. I mean, I think you may be able to make a case for it, but did he definitely?
How did he definitely win that round? He did not definitely win that round because he didn't do any. He didn't do anything after the cut. He did 0. He got outboxed. Go back and watch it. Fury outworked him and outpunched him. Horrible. How could you say that? You saw a guy's eye cut. So every time Marquez fights and his eye gets busted open because he's got scar tissue over his eye, then that means he loses the fight. That's so stupid.
You remember Julio Cesar Chavez used to get cut every fight right on the bridge of the nose because he had scar tissue there. And then
so Chavez lost because the bridge of his nose bled every fight. That's damage.
Yeah, so...
A punch that opens your face is effective damage, and effective damage is the pillar of pro boxing. You don't not... No, effective damage is not.
It's not the pillar of
That's
pro
not.
boxing.
It's not
That's
called
not
effective. You see, you're making up something. Like, oh, you have to take it from the champion. Oh, effective.
That's another myth,
Those are unwritten rules. You don't score facial damage. Because if you land one punch and you make the guy bleed, and he lands 10 punches and he staggers you, but you don't bleed, he wins the round.
Right.
You don't win the round because you made somebody bleed. You have to outbox the guy. No, you're as blind as Robbie because you don't know the criteria. You're ignorant.
Yeah, it's not. It's
Where
effective
does it
aggressive.
say-
It's not harder. The guy who lands the harder shots. You know what I mean? That's not the way it is. Georgie says it can influence judgment.
It's not supposed to.
It's not
It's
supposed
not
to, but it
supposed to.
can. I agree with that.
It's not supposed to.
But that doesn't mean
it didn't
because he
influence
was
judging.
cut.
It didn't influence the judgment of the 3 judges that scored it. That only gave Wallen friggin' one judge gave him 2 rounds, the other judge gave him 3 rounds, and one judge gave him 4 rounds. That's not a close fight.
Okay, so listen to me. He got cut in the 3rd round. We're talking about the Fury Wallen fight last week. In Igloo, he got cut in the 3rd round. All right, so every round subsequently where that cut open, you gave him the round? That's what you're saying. When the cut reopened and blood started pouring out,
It's
and they had
one
to come back
punch,
and wipe his
Igloo.
face.
You can't win a fight by landing one punch that causes a cut if you lose the rest of the rounds. Okay, so Chavez Jr. should have a victory over Sergio Martinez because he busted his face open.
Well,
But
he won
Martinez-
that 12th round, yeah.
But Martinez outboxed him in the 11 rounds. Then what are you saying? You don't score facial damage. It's not part of the criteria. Clean, effective punching, effective aggressiveness, defense, and ring generalship. There's no facial damage in the criteria.
Not at all. Not even a little bit. It's not how you score it. Not how you score it. Just
not how
like
you
every
score.
knockdown in a fight is not automatically a 10-8 round. It's typically a 10-8 round, but not all the time. It just is what it is.
No, clean, effective punching is not a punch that opens your face because, again, I could tap you in the... If I had a girl slap me in the fucking nose that didn't even hurt, but I bleed from my nose even when I'm just tapped. Some people just bleed easily. Some people... Chuck Wepner, you could breathe on the guy and he would bleed.
What do they call it? The biome bleeder, right?
Yeah, they call him the biome bleeder. You know what they used to say? They used to say he was cut before he entered the ring. During the ring walk, he would get cut before he entered the ring. Some guys bleed easily. That's the stupidest thing you could ever say.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move ahead.
Let's
here.
move on because I can't argue with stupidity. I'm not.
Jesus Ramos versus Ricky Edwards. Ramos scored a 3rd round KO over Edwards. It was a vicious. It reminded me of the Kolbert knockout. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and catch it or go catch the replay. It was a vicious 1-punch knockout. It was a straight left that ended the fight. Ramos is 18 years old, and he's now 11-0 with 10 knockouts. That is a guy, to me, that looks promising. Beeb, what do you make of that? He's 18, and he's already 11-0.
That's incredible.
That's insane, right?
He just barely made the age limit to fight.
Yeah. My guess is he's fighting. I mean, what is it in the U.S.? You have to be 18 in the U.S. to be a professional?
18, yeah.
And in Mexico, they're a little bit more, I think they're a little looser with the rules there. And I think I've heard people turn in like pro at like 14 and 15. And well, you remember, what did Pacquiao turn pro at?
I think he was pro as 16 or something.
I thought he was 15 or 14 for some reason.
15 or 16. I could be wrong.
Something like that. But he was young, man. He was absolutely young. He's still going on about that in the chat.
Stop.
He's still going on about that in the chat.
The punch wasn't even a hard punch. It scraped. It was a grazing blow that scraped the tissue.
So, I thought it connected. I didn't see like the
was it a hard
when he hit
punch?
and he scraped.
Did Fury stagger? Did he buckle?
No.
Did he look hurt after getting hit with the punch? Yes or
no? No, absolutely not.
The punch that he got hit with in the 12th that had him holding on, that didn't cause any facial damage, is more of a telling blow than the punch that cut him. So this goofball is saying that punch is more effective than the punch that actually made Fury hold on. Now, if you told me that punch in the 12th was an effective punch, then I would agree. But the punch that scraped him and pushed his tissue on, that hit him in the eye, that he already has problems with all the. He got cut on that same eye because it has scar tissue on it already. So of course, when it gets scraped, it's going to bust open because it's already been cut in other fights. So when a fighter already has scar tissue around his eyes, whether it be from headbutts or other fights, and he gets hit in that same spot and he bleeds, doesn't necessarily mean he got hit with a hard punch. It's just common. Marquez bled from that same eye every single fight. And like you said, Chavez bled from the bridge of his nose every single fight. Does that mean they lose the fight?
Yeah, I would agree. No, it's, he landed it in, can you make a case that he won the round? I can. Yeah, I guess you can make a case.
Did you give him the round? Did you give him that round? Did you give him that round?
I did not know.
I didn't either.
I didn't know.
And then 3 judges didn't.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Only Igloo.
only a person that's named after a freaking ice, a block of ice, gave him the round.
Right. Yeah, block of ice. A slow moving.
Mr. Ice Cube gave him the round. That's it. No one else gave him the round.
No. And it was a good shot. It landed. And, listen, the skin is a little bit thin on the top of the eye right there. That's why you see people getting cut.
There's no fat right here.
Yeah,
there's
people
no
get
fat.
cut.
If a glove scrapes you up there, and it doesn't even have to be a hard punch, but it's just the angle at which it scrapes you. Now, did that punch that cut Fury, was that more damaging? Was that a more telling blow? Was that a better punch than the punch that actually made him his knees buckle and made him hold on?
No, in that last round, no. I would take that right hand all day.
So he's saying that punch was better than the punch that Wallen landed in the 12th because Fury got cut.
Right.
Does anyone in the chat agree with that?
No.
Nobody.
Crickets.
George, you don't encourage him, man. I mean, you try to help him.
Try to help him.
You don't want him going out in public talking like this, Georgie. Don't you have a heart? Why are you encouraging this? Why are you encouraging this?
All right, let's move ahead to our train wreck of the week here. Gary Russell is our train wreck of the week, Beeb. All right, so Gary Russell put out a video on Saturday of him backstage. His 2 brothers were on the card. I think they won. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure they won. They were in showcase fights. So Gary Russell was back there. Leo Santa Cruz's dad was back there also. Russell was doing a video at the time. Russell puts his arm around him and then calls out Leo Santa Cruz, tells him to stop ducking. He says he can't put his hands on Leo, but is close enough to put his hands on his father. Gary Russell then, of course, put out another video stating that he obviously would never put hands on Leo's father and he just wants to fight. Listen, man, I've met Gary Russell. We've talked to his father. They're both super nice people. I mean, you will not meet a nicer set of people than the Russells, man. You won't. They're just great people. I knew as I was watching the video that it was all just hype. It was just nonsense. I mean, you could tell if if you talk to him for just 5 minutes, you'll know. That being said, to me, it wasn't a good look for him. It's never a good thing to bring a family member into things like this. Everyone knows that Leo Santa Cruz's father, his history with illness and everything like that. To me, it wasn't a good thing to do. I know what he was trying to do, but it just wasn't to me, it wasn't a great thing to do, but I don't think it should be like overblown. A lot of people are talking about it. I don't think it was like that crazy, Beeb, you had some thoughts on this.
I thought it was all in good fun. I didn't take it serious. You could tell he was laughing and smiling. He was hugging the father. He's putting his arm around him. I saw it totally different than everyone else. I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. I just didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I mean, it was, I see, if people got bent about it, I see it. I get it. But there's really not a big reason to get bent about it because to me, it wasn't that serious. It wasn't that big of an issue. You know what I mean? So But hey, Gary Russell trying to get that Leo Santa Cruz fight. You think that fight happens now?
Yes.
I tell you what. Yeah, I mean, if somebody put his hands around your father and did a video like that, I mean, how would you react?
I'd go after him.
Yeah, we'd have a problem. We'd have a big problem.
But again, I don't think this was ill-willed at all.
No, I don't think it was ill-willed, but it's just, I mean, it's a member of your family, you know? I mean, I mean, obviously Leo Santa Cruz didn't know about this ahead of time, you know? I mean, yeah, I think that would get your blood boiling a little bit, you know? So, yeah. All right, let's see here. Let's talk about the ShoBox card. Michael Dutchover versus Thomas Matisse. Let's see. Thomas Matisse scored an 8th round TKO over Michael Dutchover. The cut came in the 8th round. It was deemed from a punch, and the fight was stopped. And Dutchover was ahead on 2 of the scorecards. Not a major upset, but an upset nonetheless. Matisse, again, was brought in as a showcase. Dutchover was expected to beat him. And we kind of, it's ironic that we were talking about the Tyson Fury-Wallen fight last week, because this was kind of that issue where he was losing the fight. With 2 of the 3 cards, he was losing the fight. And then, hey, he gets that cut. It's deemed from a punch. It was bad enough. He had to stop it. So, hey, that's it, man. This could have happened to Tyson Fury last week, too. So, you just never know. You never know the way it goes. On the undercard, Ruben Villa versus Enrique Vivas, 10 rounds featherweights. Villa wins a unanimous decision by the scores of 100-89 on all cards. Brandon Lee versus Milton Ramirez, 8 rounds welterweights. Brandon Lee scored a 2nd round KO over Milton Ramirez. And then we had Thompson Boxing on the internet. I think it was on Facebook or ThompsonBoxing.com. Thompson Boxing Live or something like that. This was interesting, man. Peter Petrov versus Diedrich Bell, 8 rounds junior welterweights. Peter Petrov scored a 2nd round TKO over Diedrich Bell. After the fight, Petrov immediately called out Ryan Garcia. I like it. I like that fight. I really do. I like that fight a lot. Beeb, what are your thoughts on that fight? You think that fight happens? I
think Petrov could beat him. I think it's a tough fight.
Petrov's a really good fighter, man.
Petrov, I don't know if Garcia is ready for a Petrov. I'll be honest with you.
Petrov is solid, but he's old. He's 37.
But he's
a tough guy, though.
He's a dog, man. He's tough.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know if Ryan's ready for something like that.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Ryan has any dog in him at all?
I question it.
Wow.
I question it.
It's rough.
I'm not sure.
That's rough.
Like when Andre Ward fought, what's his name there? The hell is that guy named there? The middleweight that he fought, Edison Miranda. When he fought Edison Miranda, right then and there, that after I saw that fight, I knew he was going to win the Super 6 tournament. You know why? Because I already knew that he could box. I already knew he had a lot of skill and he had a lot of athletic ability. But the one thing I didn't know was, did he have the dog inside him? Did he have that heart? Could he dig down deep when in a tough, rough, pressure-filled fight? And he did. You know, he out-gutted a guy like Miranda, who generally takes people, at that point in time, he took people's souls.
Yeah.
But Andre Ward, he was still kind of early in his career, sort of like Ryan Garcia is in his career. And Andre Ward, out-gutted him. He out-hearted him. And I don't know. I'm not sure if Garcia has that grit and that heart, that mental toughness and that dog in him like an Andre Ward did.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So if you ask me, I'm not sure, and I'm leaning towards maybe not.
Wow.
He seems to me to be, when you talk about a guy that kind of thinks he's already achieved something when he really hasn't, and again, I'm not a professional boxer. I don't have a contract with Golden Boy. So I'm not saying that, he doesn't have possibly doesn't have a future I'm not saying he's not going in the right direction. I'm not saying anything. I'm not hating on him. But the way he talks is if he's a guy that has like he's a 2-time world champion. He has, to me, he has a sense of entitlement already without having accomplished much. And whenever people would say things to Andre Ward about, oh, you're great, you're this, you're that, what do you think? He goes that he would always say, that's not for me to decide. That's for other people to decide. It's up to the public to decide that. Ryan Garcia, he already thinks he's great, and it's good to be confident and everything, but he's talking like he's already like a 2-3-time world champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll have to be in a tough, gritty fight for us to know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, and Petrov could pose that.
I think Petrov beats him.
Yeah. All right. So Reese Mack has a question here. He says, is it Howdy rebels attacked Saudi Arabian oil fields a few days back? How can this affect AJ Ruiz too? I don't know. I got to be honest, man. I have no idea.
The answer to your question is I have no idea.
I have no idea. The other thing is, like, I don't know how close it was to the actual site. I don't know how actually, I don't think it affects it at all. I'll be honest. I don't think it affects it at all. Because, listen, I mean, things in Saudi Arabia, there's events planned this week, planned this weekend, planned next weekend. They're not canceling because of that. So, yeah.
This fight's going to happen. I mean, there's just,
sure.
It's inevitable. There's just too much money now involved in this.
Way too much.
This fight's happening. This fight is not going to not happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's a stuff like that happens all the time. I mean, that kind of stuff goes on all the time. I would think that...
Unfortunately, it does.
Yeah.
Sorry
I mean, it just does. And you know what? They're all used to it over there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're used to stuff like that. I mean, they're used to it way more than we are, so I think that we get worked up about it. The things we get worked up about over there is like a regular Saturday night to them.
Yep.
I really believe that. I think they're, listen, nobody's used to getting bombed, but I think that they're, listen, man, again, life goes on over there. They've got, events planned all week, all weekend. And yeah, I don't think it affects it at all. I really don't. I mean, unless we hear something from it, but I haven't heard anything that, would, of course, lead me to believe that the fight would be canceled or moved or anything like that. So, yeah, I don't know. All right, let's talk about, actually, before we go anywhere, let's go to the phones here. 805, you're live. And just a reminder, guys, to make sure if you guys want to call in early, because once we, like I said, don't call in 15 minutes before or 10 minutes before we get off the air. So if you guys want to call in early. 805, go ahead.
Hey, guys, what's up? It's me.
Hey, what's up, man?
Notch, what's happening, baby?
Nacho.
Nothing much. Hey, well, as far as the fight this weekend, I thought that the Showbox card was really interesting. You had a lot of good, solid matchups. The Brandon Lee, that kid's getting a whole lot of hype, but I don't know if you guys have bothered to look at his record going into the fight the other night. He had only fought one guy with a 500 record, and the rest of the guys he had beaten were like 52, 228, and like 13. I've never seen a guy go on Showbox having fought that many tomato cans prior to being on Showbox before. That to me was crazy. I was a little skeptical about how good I thought he was going to be, but he was pretty impressive in there taking apart the guy that he was fighting, because the guy he was fighting looked like he was coming to win, and he was in there and he was able to outbox him. And once he started learning how to time his right hand after missing it on a few occasions, he landed that one right, and it was over. Hopefully that he'll get some better competition moving forward from this point. But the kid looks like he's got the skills to be a real prospect. As far as the other two fights, Ruben Villa, he took apart the guy he was fighting pretty easily, knocked him down, outboxed him. It was a good win for him. I'm not sure exactly if he's going to be an elite guy at featherweight, but I could see him being a contender sooner rather than later, because he looks like he's getting ready to leave the prospect stage and move up to being a contender soon at featherweight. And then the main event, Dutchover was getting a lot of press prior to the fight because a lot of people thought that he could be a legit guy.
I think Eric dropped.
Box appearances, and he was kind of up and down, so I didn't know exactly what to expect from this fight. But I thought Dutchover was outboxing Matisse and outworking him, and he was able to pretty much do what he wanted for the most part, and Matisse was just kind of laying back and not doing a whole lot. And I was surprised that, he wasn't being more aggressive until his corner finally told him, look, you're behind. I think you're going to have to go out there and knock this guy out. And he went out there and he, started hitting, banging on Dutchover, and he cut him. And I don't get why the referee went to the doctor and took Dutchover there, because the cut wasn't so bad that the blood was just not allowing Dutchover to see. And I just thought that was like a way too premature of a stoppage. I think they should have let Dutchover finish the round out and then see if his corner could have stopped the bleeding. And then if they couldn't, then you call the fight. But for the doctor to look at the cut and say, oh, that's it, it's so bad that we can't let him continue, I thought that was unfair to Dutchover. And so it's a little bit of a controversy from that point of view, but I think that I would like to see a rematch if possible, because I think that's kind of a terrible way to end that fight. And then the card yesterday with PBC, the Angulo Quillin fight, I don't know who's in Quillin's corner, and I don't know who's got his best interest, but I think they seriously have to talk to him about whether or not he wants to continue fighting. Because last night, I've never seen Quillin look that fat, that slow, and that uninterested in fighting. He literally looked like he was moving in quicksand around the ring yesterday, and he was pretty much a sitting duck for what Angulo wanted to do. And Angulo's beyond faded to me at this point. And the fact that Angulo was in there teeing off on him, that's an indictment on Quillin. And after the fight was over, when they talked to him, he sure didn't sound like a guy who wants to continue fighting. So I think he should really think long and hard about whether or not he wants to get in the ring again, because if he fights a guy who's a legit, fighter, like a Benavidez or a Callum Smith or someone like that, oh my God, I hate to see how he'd end up probably getting laid out from them hitting on him.
What did Quillin say after the fight, Nacho?
The other, he just basically sounded like a guy who wasn't all that sure of himself. He was like, well, I tried to do what my corner told me, but I wasn't able to execute it. It's disappointing that I came out there and I really wasn't able to fight the way I wanted to. I tried to fight the way I wanted to, but I just wasn't able to. He just sounded like someone who wasn't completely sure of himself anymore. Like he had this real question. He had a lot of questions in his own mind about whether or not he should continue. And I think that's a bad sign for him. I think he should really think about whether or not he wants to go out there anymore. Because after last night's performance, I don't know if I want to put him out there against the top 10 guy. He'd probably get destroyed. And then in the other fight, I think his name was it Kolbert or
Kolbert,
the kid that was Kolbert. Yeah, that was a hell of a knockout that he did because no one had done that to Beltran. I mean, Beltran had gone rounds with other guys. I mean, a few fights ago, he went 10 rounds with Gamboa. So for him to knock the guy out flat on his face, I mean, that was a hell of a shot he landed on him. And that's the one thing. He might be a contender at 30, but I'd like to see if he can actually, start, sitting down on his punches a little more because he tends to just want to outbox guys, not really wants to, stand there and trade. But, I mean, that was an awesome knockout for him. And, that was just an unbelievable shot that he landed on Beltran and took him out. And the other fight with Delorme and Williams, I didn't think much of Delorme at this point. I didn't really think he had a whole hell of a lot left, considering he's looked very average his last few fights. But he went out there and he took it to Williams, and I give Williams a lot of credit. He fought his heart out and he stood in there as much as he could, but you could just see Delorme had the heavier, faster hands. And as the fight wore on, he just landed the harder, cleaner shots. And that knockdown at the end was just awesome how he was able to counter with that left hook and drop Williams. And I give Williams a lot of credit. I thought he wasn't going to make it to the end of the fight, but somehow he managed to survive and make it to the end. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Delorme because Delorme is kind of a name, and so it'll be interesting to see if he gets a shot at one of the bigger names for PBC at 47, maybe like a Danny Garcia or even a Keith Thurman at some point. So, and then I did get to see the Thompson card you guys were talking about. Man, Petrov looked really good, but the guy he fought was terrible. The guy had like 28 losses from what I saw on BoxRec. So he was tailor-made for Petrov, but Petrov looked good. He just attacked him and wore him down and knocked him out with a body shot. I think if they give Ryan Garcia that fight, I think Garcia's in trouble because I think Petrov still has enough in the tank that he could give Garcia a whole lot of problems.
That's a good fight.
Yeah, it would be a really tough fight for Garcia. I want to see what Garcia does with Duno first in November. Now that they have that fight signed, it'll be interesting to see how good Garcia really is because I think Duno is going to be a legit test for him. I don't think he's just going to show up and roll over for Garcia. And and then really quick, the Joseph Diaz, I actually got to see that card too. He didn't look all that great yesterday. He did what he had to do to win that fight, but I felt the judges scored it a little too wide in his favor. I thought Quadro was able to outbox him in spots and win some rounds, but the judges scored it kind of wide for Diaz. I think two of the judges had him winning 9-3 and one had him winning 8-4. And I thought it was more of a 7-5 fight, or you could have even possibly called it a draw because Diaz just didn't look good. And that guy wasn't able to, hurt Diaz. He was just able to outbox him. So I hope that he thinks he's going to be ready for Farmer in December because after yesterday's performance, I'm not so sure at this point. But, that's it, guys. I'm sure you guys got other calls waiting, and I'll just talk to you guys next week then.
Sounds good, man. Thanks, Nacho. Nacho caught everything. The Thompson boxing card, everything.
Nacho must have been friggin' glued to the friggin' computer yesterday, baby.
He's dialed in, boy. Nacho's dialed in. Speaking of dialed in, 7:06. Jason, you're live.
What's going on, guys? I mean, Nacho just always comes in firing, fucking hitting on Showtime and PBC. That guy never fucking stops, man. Fucking
Hi, Jason.
Little turd hitting on Brandon Lee. Little guy Brandon Lee is fucking developing. And like, how many fights does Brandon Lee have? Like 10 or 12?
Yeah,
he's like already hitting on his matchmaking. I mean, yeah, like Nacho doesn't want me to pull up Chavez Senior's fucking first 50 fights. I mean, I can right now. I can read all their fucking bump records, 30 and 60 and 80 and fucking 200, all that shit,
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, it's history. History repeats itself. I mean, matchmakers do what the old matchmakers did. That's what they're doing. Look at Canelo's first fucking 20, 35. He was fighting total tomato cans, you know? Kid is learning. And also, what did you guys think about Delorme? That guy looked like fucking juiced up, man. He looked like he was rejuvenated. What was up with him?
He looked good. I thought he looked real good.
He looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
He could probably get a good fight with Lipinets or somebody like that, you know? That wouldn't be a bad fight.
Delorme got robbed against Jesse Vargas, too.
He probably left his own because they're not giving big purses anymore. Did you see what Joe Markowski said? He said this is inflated purses that his owner over. We just had to pay the premium for the first year. Now we're only going to pay the people that are moving the needle. The guys like Farmer that fucking turned down $2 million to fight Tank. Now they're going to be fucking crying and fucking fighting for $200 or $300K instead of $600K like he used to. That moron is fucked.
Hey, I saw the whatchamacallit you put on there this weekend with Andy Ruiz. Take care, champ. Be careful out there. That's nice, man. That's real nice.
You know, it's so nice that you have these fighters' well-being. You care about these fighters.
I said bodyguard can't save you from all that kind of violence. I said don't be going to that shitty country.
Yeah.
Whoa, buddy, you can't say that.
Shit, you know, hopefully. Dude, if I'm Andy, I'm calling my lawyer and be like, dude, I'm not going to that fucking country. They're fucking dropping bombs over there. I'm not going there, dude. Fuck
Be
that.
careful out there, champ.
Andy, make sure you pack a care package.
What if Andy's family gets hurt over there? What if Andy's fucking kids get killed over there? You motherfuckers gonna fucking try to make that up for him?
Do you know how much security's around Andy Ruiz right now?
Be nice to Igloo, man.
We're being nice to Igloo. What's wrong with Igloo?
Man. He's like one of your first.
What's wrong with Igloo?
He's one of the first super
what do we say?
What I say about Igloo?
We can't disagree with him?
We disagree with him, that's all.
We can't just disagree with him?
Igloo called me an idiot, and I didn't even retaliate. I turned the other cheek. He called me an idiot.
I'm just fucking around, dude. Relax, man.
I have a GPA of 4.7, and he called me an idiot.
Yeah, I can vouch for him. Beeb's in Mensa.
I'm in Mensa, for Christ's sake. Lois,
he's in Mensa.
Show him the paperwork, Lois.
Did you guys see, Eric, did you go back and watch Booker T on PBC yet or no?
No.
Oh, I saw it.
No. I saw that he had body slammed somebody. Who did he body slam to the
table?
table?
Choke slam somebody.
I don't know.
Did you see Porter on NFL Sunday today on Fox promoting the pay-per-view? Did you see him?
Yeah, what was he wearing?
He was on NFL Sunday.
Oh, he looked horrible. You see the outfit he had on? Who's dressing this kid?
Dude, he's got those
Kolbert.
He's got those Steve Harvey suits from 1999 and shit. Steve Harvey suits.
He looks like Shaft.
Steve Harvey used to wear those suits like 20 years ago. Yeah.
He looks like Nicky Barnes from American Gangster.
Fucking 1980.
Nicky Barnes.
Like Nicky Barnes.
Dude, Beeb, go back and look at NFL Sunday. The size of his bow tie looks like the size of the fucking Michael Strahan's head. That's how big the fucking bow is.
Oh my God, that tie. That tie looks like a friggin' billboard.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That tie looks like a stop
Irish
sign.
Tailors, dude. Irish tailors make some good suits. They need to copy Conor McGregor's suit style. They're fucking stupid. I don't know why. I mean, you're going on national TV, buy a fucking good suit. Jesus Christ. You know, learn from fucking Mayweather.
Tyson Fury wears the best suits.
Tyson Fury does have pretty good suits.
What do you guys think of that card? That card last night. That
card
last night was better
than
the whole Tyson Fury card combined, dude. Tyson Fury card was trash. I know. That was good matchmaking right there.
That was a good card.
Promotion.
It was a good card.
What's his name? Tom Goosen. Yeah.
Jason.
And what do you do? I think Angulo, you know what's good? Angulo versus Jarrell should be next after Jarrell gets his ass kicked by Benavidez next week. Angulo versus Jarrell will be a good fight. What do you guys think about that one? What do you think?
I want to see him and Truax, man.
I want to see him in Truax. Let him fight Truax first.
Yeah, let him fight Truax.
I tweeted it out, dude. Caleb Truax liked my comment. I tagged Truax today and said,
Caleb likes my comment. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. My heart's pounding. Oh, my God. Did you see it?
God,
Caleb
I'm not
Truax
going to be able to sleep
comment.
tonight. I'm going to have to take some Benadryl because I'm so excited.
Caleb Truax is a superstar in Minnesota, dude. What are you talking about? Caleb Truax sells out the Armory in Minnesota. That guy's a superstar. Shut the fuck up.
All right, just relax.
I'm not saying he's not a superstar.
Yeah, all right, just relax. I didn't know you had that bad for him.
I'm just commenting on your man crushes.
Truax is the fucking dude. Did you see what Tank posted on his Instagram? That guy started his own trucking company. What do you think about that?
He started what?
What do you think about that?
What do you do?
His own trucking company. Did you see it?
Jason.
His own trucking company, like a freight company. What do you think about that?
Jason, do you have Tank's Instagram feed and your Google feed?
Like a 23-year-old to start a fucking trucking company, dude.
Tank.
What'd you say, Beeb?
Do you have Tank's Instagram in your Google feed?
No, I just go to his Instagram and check it out whenever I want to. Why?
Whenever he wants to, like every
whenever
5
you
minutes.
want to. Let me ask you a question. How many times a day would you say
every
you
few
go?
days.
How many times a day would you go? Would you say
Instagram, Tank's Instagram?
Andy Ruiz.
Every few days I'll check out Boys and Tanks and Wilders and
Oh, every 2 days, not every day. Every 2 days.
Every 2 days. Every 2 days.
He's got it on a schedule. You know what he has?
I'm mostly on Twitter.
He has it on his calendar, right? He has like notifications on his calendar. He sets alarms. Got to go to Tank's Twitter today. Got to go to Andy's Instagram today.
You're the one with the Google, dude. You're the one with the Google notification for Fury's fucking nuts. Come on, you're the one all over Fury's nuts, fucking yelling at Igloo because he said that cut was from a fucking solid punch. That was a solid punch. That wasn't.
That's a bad deflection.
Great. That was
That's
a punch.
bad deflection.
And Fury
That's
hasn't
a
had
horrible
a cut
deflection.
in 10 years, okay?
That's a horrible deflection.
Fury hasn't had a cut in 10 years. Fury hasn't had a cut in 10 years. He's not some guy that easily cuts you either. Stop
Has he been cut on that eye before, Jason?
When was the last time Fury got cut?
Let me interject here.
Has he been cut on that eye before?
10 years ago. 10 years ago.
Has he been cut on that eye before?
10 years ago. 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
All right, let me jump in. Hey, let me jump in.
How many fights has he had in 10 years?
Jason,
20?
real quick.
Come on.
Real quick, Jason.
Come on.
If Tank asked you to rub his shoulders,
go
would you rub his shoulders?
Tell Corey Lee to stop crying. All he does is fucking cry like a little bitch in the chat. So I'm gonna shut the fuck up.
He's not even online, man. What are you doing?
Leave Corey Lee alone, for Christ's sakes. Why do you always have to start with Corey Lee?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Corey Lee needs a new phone, man. His fucking shitty ass phone always hangs up.
Listen, I don't see Corey Lee like Facebook stalking people.
Throw away that prepaid phone. Tell Corey Lee to throw away that
Corey Lee doesn't have restraining orders against him because of your stalk because he stalks people on Instagram like you.
Oh, that's true.
You have a couple restraining orders against you.
Does he really? He does, doesn't he?
He does.
That's jacked up. That's messed up, man.
What happened? I don't even know what you got.
Would you give Tank a foot massage?
Jokes are so fucking lame.
Would you give Tank a foot massage?
Is that what you do to fighter? Is that what you do to your favorite fighters? Come on, man. That's some gas shit. Stop saying them.
What do you do to your favorite? What do you do to your favorite fighters?
This is boxing. Like GG said. Hey Max, this is boxing.
Just saying.
Ooh, now you're making fun of Triple G's accent, man. That's kind of
what's the matter with you?
That's a little bit of bigotry right there.
Yeah, don't like it. All right, Jason, we're gonna get running, man.
What did you think about that DAZN guy? Well, hold on. What did you think about that DAZN guy saying the purses are going down now? We're not going to be paying too much. What did you think about that?
I don't think anything.
You hear that, right?
Yeah,
I did not. I actually did not hear that.
Yeah, so I think the DAZN, somebody from DAZN said that. They're not going to be paying for. Shut up. Yeah. They're not going to be paying the prime prices that they paid for fighters or whatever. It's going to kind of because they're back in the game. They're in the game now, basically. So they're not going to start. They had to overpay basically to kind of get their foot in the door and everything like that. That's normal. That's normal stuff.
It doesn't matter because they're still going to pay Canelo. They're still going to pay Golovkin. They're still going to pay Joshua. So this may hurt guys like Andre. I think Devin Haney's still going to get paid. I mean, I think Tevin Farmer's still going to get paid. I think all the fighters that are still there, I think they're going to get paid. But I think people that come to the network for like one-offs, they're probably not going to get paid.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think so either, man. I think that's all normal stuff, though. You know, I mean, listen, man, look at PBC, how much money they had to put in buying time. It wasn't even like, they were given time, like the company came to them and said, hey, would you put a spot on it? No, they had to go buy time, and I mean, they had to pursue like NBC and all the other now they're in a position where, hey, they're getting deals now and everything like that. But
it's all cyclical.
Yeah, that's all normal business stuff.
Corey said if he ever sees Jason in the street, he's going to fold him up like a lawn chair and stick him in the shed.
What's his deal? Why does Jason always on Corey? I don't understand that.
I think he's jealous of Corey because Corey's in great shape, gets all the Corey's in great shape, can get any girl he wants. And Jason stalks people on Instagram. I mean, you don't see Corey stalking people on Instagram.
That is odd, man, because you see, like, Jason always talks about, like, Instagram models and stuff like that. Like, he knows, like, all the ring card girls, and he's got, like, their Instagram and everything like that. I'm like, that's, Corey like, another level of crazy, man.
Corey gets first-class access to locker rooms. I don't see Jason getting that.
Well, he's got to sneak in. I mean, he does when he's cleaning them. I mean, but that's
Corey's my Igloo. Corey's like my little brother, man. He's family. Corey's family, bro.
All right.
Don't even try to make this incestual. It's not incestual. He's my little brother, Corey.
All right, let's go to the upcoming fights here. Let's see here. I think we're going to start on the 27th on ESPN Plus from London. Daniel Dubois versus Ebenezer Tete. 12 rounds for the vacant. Oh, hang on one second. Vacant Commonwealth heavyweight title. There you go. On the undercard, Nicola Adams versus Marina Salinas. 10 rounds for Adams' WBO flyweight title. And then there's a lot of guys on there. Man, I haven't even heard of. I guess it's like an up-and-comer type thing. But, yeah. I like Daniel Dubois. It's a good fight. I like Daniel Dubois. I like watching him.
I hope you like Daniel Dubois in this one.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. On September 27th from Alto, Puerto Rico. All right, so this is on PR Best Boxing on Facebook. So go look for that. Carlos Arrieta versus Ricardo Nunez, 10 rounds, junior featherweights. I can't wait to not watch that one. The big one on September 28th, Saturday, from LA on Fox pay-per-view. Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter, 12 rounds for the IBF and WBC welterweight unification. On the undercard, this is stacked. Anthony Durrell versus David Benavidez, 12 rounds for Durrell's WBC super middleweight title. Mario Barrios versus Batur Akhmedov, 12 rounds for the vacant WBA regular junior welterweight title. Josecito Lopez versus John Molina Jr., 10 rounds welterweights. And I got to sigh before I read this next one, man. Robert Guerrero versus Jerry Thomas, 10 rounds welterweights. I don't know why he's still fighting, but he is, and it is what it is. So there you go. That's that card. We'll come back to it here in a minute. September 28th from Bilbao, Spain. David Avanesian versus Kerman Lajaraga. It's a rematch for Avanesian's European welterweight title. And Tom Schwartz in action next weekend versus Ija Mendesev. It's a rematch, 10 rounds, heavyweights. That'll be in Germany. There is no TV on that one. I imagine you can catch it online somewhere, but maybe on.
You would have thought he had some momentum coming off that big cut in the third round. thought he would get a.
No, this is
shot.
Tom Schwartz. This is Tom Schwartz.
Oh,
yeah.
Tom Schwartz.
Tom Schwartz. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he might have had some momentum after that.
I got him confused with Wallen. See how much I know?
That's right, man. Tom Schwartz back in action. Who doesn't want to see Tom Schwartz, man? All right, so let's talk about it here. Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter. Beeb, this is a big fight, man. I tell you what, this is a big fight. Unification of the welterweight title. You know, we start talking about the welterweight title and unifications. You start thinking about Hearns and Leonard and everybody like that. Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter. I tell you what, this is a good fight. It's a good fight on paper, but I'll be real honest. I'm not sure how good of a fight it plays out. I think it's a better than average fight. I'm not so sure that I don't think. Put it this way, I don't know of a way Shawn Porter beats him. All right. Shawn Porter can't outbox Errol Spence. He can't do it. He cannot outbox him. He doesn't have more power than Errol Spence. If Shawn Porter, was it Ugas that he fought? Wasn't it Jordan Ugas?
I thought Ugas won.
I thought Ugas won that fight clear. Over Porter.
Clear.
And I thought that was a pretty clear fight. And when Shawn Porter tried to box him, I thought Ugas picked him apart because he was taller, he was lankier, he had the reach, he had the power. I thought it was a bad move for Porter. I thought it was a bad look in the sense that that's not his style, and he tried to adapt the style, and it didn't work out for him. Okay? That being said, he's not going to outbox Spence. So if he goes to the old Shawn Porter and tries to close the gap and get in his face, I think Spence picks him apart with body shots and ultimately puts him away. I don't see a way that Porter gets past Spence. You know, and the big thing is, well, you know, the argument is that Spence couldn't knock out Garcia. How will he knock out Porter? Two different styles. I don't think listen, man, Porter is not going to go into survival mode. Beeb, you know this too. If somebody doesn't want to get knocked out, they're not going to get knocked out because they're not going to take any risk defensively. They're not going to, they're just going to turtle up. And that's what Garcia did. If you look at his punch output in that fight, he didn't want to get knocked out. That's as plain as you can say it. Go watch the fight. It was not competitive. It was not competitive at any point in that fight. Garcia was not trying to win. After about the fourth round, that was it. He kind of packed it up and he says, hey, I got to go. You know, we're going to hear the final bell and that's what we're going to do.
Errol Spence didn't want to knock out Mikey Garcia. I firmly believe that. That's just my opinion. I mean,
sometimes you got that gentleman's agreement in there, you know, where,
could he have knocked him out? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he pressed him.
You know what? I don't know if he could have knocked him out. I'll be honest with you. I don't know that he could have knocked him out because
wrong, but I believe he could have.
Well, even though he was in that defensive posture all night. And again, I mean, if he's not going to take any chances offensively, you know, you're not going to get hit enough to get out of there.
All you have to do is look at what Errol Spence did in that fight. He didn't even go deep in the pocket in that fight. He picked him apart from the outside. Watch him. It's almost like it's like Michael Jordan saying that, you know what? I'm just going to take jump shots tonight. I'm not taking it to the hoop. He's so good that he could do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna work on my jump shot game tonight. You know, I'm playing the friggin' Toronto Raptors tonight. This is, you know, I'm just gonna take Jays all night. And that was the mentality that Spence had. Here's the problem in this fight. Spence is an 8-1 favorite for a reason. Spence will definitely pick Porter apart from the outside. There's no way Porter doesn't try to take this fight to the inside. But once again, fighting on the inside, there's a misconception about fighting on the inside. The misconception is, it's all about being strong and rough and tough and rugged and physical. No, it's not. Being a good inside fighter, the number one biggest thing that makes a fighter a good inside fighter is body positioning. Body positioning. Watch the greatest inside fighters of all time. Watch how Chavez would step off to the side and hang on his opponent's shoulders, take himself out of the line of fire on the inside, and create the punching angles for himself. Watch how Spence slides over and hangs on his opponent's shoulders, on one shoulder, on one side, or the other side. And then he just wraps around and gets you with those liver shots. He doesn't stand straight in front of you. Porter stands straight in front of you, center line, and he allows you to grab him, or he allows you to step around him. He allows you to slide back. And Porter smothers his punches on the inside. And Porter, when he's on the inside, he stands straight up. He doesn't get low. He doesn't, when Kolbert would grab him and contain him, the way to not allow that. If you watch, I said this several times before. Watch Chavez on the inside. Guys tried to grab him. What did he do? He would get up underneath like this. He would squat, try to grab him, and he would stick his head up like that. He'd squat and go up like that, and he'd jar himself loose. He'd slide up underneath you. He would slide off. He would step around you and then dig the shot to the side. Step around you off to the other side of the shoulder and wrap that punch around. You know what I mean? It's all body positioning. And Errol Spence is so beautiful at creating those punching angles for himself, making himself a compact target on the inside, and being defensively responsible on the inside by not standing straight in the center line of the pocket, and he'll be hanging up on your shoulder. So he's going to be creating these beautiful punching angles for himself, while Porter is going to just be standing straight in front of him, and he's going to be a sitting target because Spence is just going to step around him, boom, step around him, boom, all night. And then Spence is going to pick him apart from the outside when he decides he wants to fight him from the outside. Spence can do a lot of different things. And this is the thing. Porter's never been in there with someone who can match his intensity. Spence can match his intensity. Spence can match his pressure. Spence is a sniper. Spence is a guy that will walk you down. Okay? Spence is a more accurate, precision, precise type puncher. Okay? Spence has faster hands than Shawn Porter. All right? And this whole thing that Porter is going to be the bully, he's going to be strong, he's going to maul. Spence is a strong guy. He's not going to be able to manhandle and muscle Spence on the inside like he thinks he is. So I think Spence is going to beat Porter decisively, and I think he's going to stop him in the 9th round because of the body positioning on the inside. He knows how to create those punching angles for himself on the inside. He knows how to get out of harm's way. He knows how to take his head off center line, take his head out of punching range of his opponent while he's in punching range to land his shots. So he knows how to position himself basically where he can land his power shots, dig them in deep into the solar plexus and into the liver, and he's not going to be there for the return fire. And when Porter does get close, he's probably going to smother himself like he always does. So
Porter does a great job of doing that, and you hit the nail on the head of smothering his shots.
Yeah.
And he does that constantly. So your pick is Errol Spence by 9th round?
9th round stoppage.
9th round stoppage. Yeah, I can't. It's hard for me to argue that. It is hard for me to argue that. I just feel like he'll put him away. I really do. I've just got that feeling. I've got that funny feeling because I tell you, I don't see him coming out the same way and trying to box with him like he did Angulo. It's not going to work.
He can't. He knows he can't.
Yeah, you're not going to outbox Spence. You know, it's just, or not Angulo, but Ugas, I'm sorry. You're not going to outbox him. Just not going to happen. He's not going to outbox him. Terrence Crawford, different story, but not him.
I had Ugas winning that fight.
I did too.
9 rounds to 3. I thought he won wide.
Yeah.
I think it was. If I go back and look at my card, it's on my old phone. But I think I only gave Porter 3 rounds in that fight. 3 or 4 round stops. 3. I think I gave him 3 rounds. I didn't think that fight was close. I thought Porter looked really bad in that fight.
I did too. And so I tell you what, let's go to Corey, who's waiting online. And thank you very much, Corey. Let's go to 804. 804, you're live.
1, 2, 3. The kid is called Corey Lee.
What's happening, Corey?
What's up? What's going on, you guys? How you guys doing tonight, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. Hey, what are your thoughts on Spence-Porter?
Okay, Spence-Porter, you guys. Let me break it down real quick, man. I'm going to give you guys, a short little run, man. Spence-Porter, I've been saying it since the fight was made that, I really, truly believe that, Shawn Porter is a wild fighter. He, technically he's not, responsible for his defense, and he gets caught with, straight shots all the time. And I believe that plays right into the hands of a guy like Errol Spence. Errol Spence has definitely, been through the gauntlet. He's fought, Kolbert in enemy territory, which could be very hostile. He's fought guys like, he's fought guys, that he might, like the Kolbert fight. A lot of people said that, Errol Spence, could have lost that fight, going into that fight, but he won and he passed. Did he pass with flying colors? I'm going to say no, because he got touched up a lot. And if that fight would have went the distance, I believe that fight could have went either way, me personally. But that's just because, Kolbert at that time with Dominic Ingle is a very, very defensively responsible fighter, and I believe that Dominic Ingle puts the guys that that he trains, he puts them through the ringer, and I believe that that's why you've seen a really good showing of Kolbert, but Kolbert eventually got stopped. All praises to Errol Spence for that, and the show must continue. But in this fight, Shawn Porter versus Errol Spence, I believe that Errol Spence will dominate. I believe Errol Spence the jab will be the key factor in this whole fight. I think the jab will dictate the pace. I think the jab will dictate whether Errol Spence gets a knockout or not. And if you can't stop the jab, how can you stop that most powerful left hand that Errol Spence has? I mean, that left hand is so vicious, man. And I believe that that's very underestimated, man. And I think that, Shawn Porter will get iced by, I'm going to say by the 10th round. And I think Derek James, Errol Spence's trainer, said something very key the other day. He said if anybody lasts 12 rounds with Errol Spence, he's going to be, very, very badly beaten. And he might not ever be the same. We see Mikey Garcia last 12 rounds, and we're yet to see if he will be the same again. But, I don't think Mikey Garcia took as much punishment as Derek James thought he would take. But I think Mikey Garcia and Shawn Porter are two totally different fighters. So, with that being said, I think that Errol Spence will knock out and ice the shit out of Shawn Porter. But I want to touch on the fight that just passed this weekend, Peter Quillin versus Angulo. I'm pretty sure you guys touched on it, but I came on the show late. Salute to you guys. This is the #1 boxing show in America, you guys. If I had more time to dedicate myself to this sport and, not working, a job and I have kids and stuff like that, I feel like I'll be up there. But, these guys put in so much work. And you guys do not know how much work it takes to really run a show. Could you guys imagine, killing your Sunday, every Sunday at 7 o'clock? You got to stop everything you're doing for this show. And I really salute you guys for that. But, yeah, Peter Quillin versus Angulo, I really believe that Angulo shows, that he's still, he's still in the game. He's still in the mix. He's still a contender. I didn't think at first, that he was going to win. I didn't even think it was going to be a close fight. Angulo proved me wrong and probably proved a hell of a lot of other people wrong. But this fight was supposed to be for the #1 spot to fight Caleb Plant. The winner was supposed to fight Caleb Plant. The winner being Peter Quillin. He was supposed to be the winner. He is not the winner. So does Angulo get that shot? In my personal opinion, yes. You give him that shot. Excuse me. You give him that shot because he beat Peter Quillin to pillar to post. And, he looked damn good doing it. Peter Quillin definitely could have got iced at the end of that fight, man. He was hanging on for dear life, man. And, where does Peter Quillin go from here? I think I really think Peter Quillin should probably switch trainers. I'm not sure his trainer that he has now, but I just think he should switch trainers. Being in New York and being from New York, he says he's from a couple of different places, but I know he has a lot of friends in New York, and I'm not sure if he's fully dedicated. I thought he was fully dedicated. I posted a picture on my Instagram. He had his abs showing and everything like that. I thought he had a good camp, but it all comes out, man. You can only hide, the miles that you track on, on the ground and stuff like that. You can only hide it for so long. It's going to eventually come out in the fight. And I think that body work that Angulo did to Peter Quillin was a key factor in the fight. And I think that was Peter Quillin's demise. Letting Angulo just touch his body up when they were clinching. I mean, he was touching his body up at will. Is Angulo a threat to Caleb Plant? I'm gonna say no, because Caleb Plant is a superior boxer. But at the end of the day, you don't know. Angulo has a style like a Madonna. He throws looping shots that you never can account for. And at the end of the day, man, that's my call. And I love you guys' show. You guys know I got love for you guys. And Jason, just stop being a hater, man. I'm not going to give you any showtime. I'm not going to give you any time. You know, this is Corley boxing, and I will punish you if I've ever seen you in my life. You know, I'm at all the fights. If you ever want to see me, you will get punished, dude. This will be the worst ass beat you will ever see. And I don't give a fuck if I get banned from any credentials or anything like that. Jason, if I see you one-on-one, you're mine, dude. You're sweet. You're real sweet. That's my call.
Corey Lee, thank you, sir. Wow, Jason getting called out. Jason, wow.
I'm flying Corey down to Georgia.
That's rough, man.
I'm flying him down.
Well, he's from Virginia. That's not a very far. That's not a big distance. Man. It's not like he's cross country or anything. We can do that. We can make it happen. Listen, I'm telling you right now, we can make it happen.
Lois, book Corey for Georgia next Saturday. Give him a 12
Not next Saturday. That's the fight. Make it for the Saturday after. That's the Golovkin fight. We can do we can do that. Yeah, not during the big fight, man. 508, Georgie, you're live.
Hey yo, what's up, people? I'm good.
What's up, hater?
How's the audio? I'm good. What's going on?
What's happening, Georgie?
What you got?
That Angulo fight, brother. Shout out to PBC, brother. We gotta give it to them. When they do good, yo, that was the slipper. The slipper of the weekend, of the month. I won't say of the year, but I didn't expect it. I thought it would be like one side. I knew like Peter Quillin, he's like Kid Chocolate, he's like washed up. And Angulo is sort of like washed up too. So, I mean, it comes down to that who was it, like, you know, they're going to be the gatekeeper. Because, you know, somebody to move forward. But if BBC is smart, that type of fight right there is really appealing for the casual and for the hardcores alike because it's action-packed. You know what I'm saying? And who knows? Who knows if fucking Peter Quillin can make the adjustment and catch Angulo in a bad night. Yo, shout out to Mexico. Shout out to that fucking relentless mentality. Shout out to Angulo fucking granite chin. Shout out to Quillin for fucking trying. This shit was amazing. I love the fight. I wouldn't be mad if they made the rematch. If Peter Quillin a paycheck before he get it really fucked up in a higher division or something like that, and retire him. Give me $1 million or $2 million or something, you know, a little package, because that will bring a lot of fans. What do you guys think about it?
I don't hate the rematch, but it's not necessarily something I want to see again. I thought, like I said, man, I thought Quillin lost the fight. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any reason to see it again. It wasn't.
7 rounds.
It is what it is.
Definitely.
The fight wasn't close, George.
I'm telling you, if you he had his moments there.
He did. It was a fight, and that's what we expected. But
he didn't hurt Angulo.
No.
But listen to me. Listen for a second. He didn't hurt Angulo whatsoever. Angulo get hit in the chin so clean. And he take it. You can make some highlight reels and promote out of the second fight, promote the hell out of that. You can compilate some shots where Quillin was doing good in the fight, and when he survived at the moment without going down, he made it all the way to the 12. He could go there for a rematch. I'm telling you, and people would love to see it. Casual will go. They don't even care because this is the problem. A lot of people, they see the sport as a hardcore. In a appealing fight like that, they should get promoted. I would love to see a rematch. That's Mexico, so you know people are going to show up. Peter Quillin, he's Cuban, so that's a curse. Because there ain't no Cubans here in the USA. If you're not Puerto Rican or Mexican, you're from Argentina, Venezuela, one of the other Latin countries, you ain't getting no support. But at least Mexico going to show up, and the type of fight was, sign me up for it. You are a hater, Eric.
Why am I a hater?
Hating in a good fight.
I thought Angulo won that fight.
Because at least Peter Quillin got a chance. He got a chance there with Angulo. Angulo gonna get over any night. He's on his way out too. What you gonna send him against who? One of the other killers? Shit.
Give him a big payday. Why not?
That will be an even fight. It will sell.
Let him fight Truax.
Yeah, let him fight Truax.
It will. Now let me.
Spence-Porter, who do you got? Quickly, who do you got? Spence-Porter.
Listen, yeah, on that Shawn Porter finally, that shit is on full steam. Because there was no hype about it, but I see Shawn Porter doing the interviews on the radio. You know, they putting this shit out there. I think they're gonna do probably like 125,000 buys around there. How many views you think you're gonna make?
300,000.
300,000.
300.
Yep. I think those will be good numbers for him. So who do you got winning the fight?
That would be good. Yeah, that would be good work.
Who's winning, Georgie?
On my opinion, that will be the first time Errol get tested since the Brook fight. So he's been a long time, on my opinion, saying he hasn't been tested. Because you're talking about Peterson, he kind of washed up, and I mean, he really at 140. Peterson really was, he was never really at 147.
Who wins?
You know, so. But Porter, yo, listen, I don't know if I should take out. I don't even know, man, because I think, you know, something tell me that Errol can lose. And you know why? Because I've seen so many people on the PBC side get so exposed. I saw both Charlo lost in the same night. I saw Ugas beat Porter. I saw fucking Fury beat Wilder.
But who wins this fight?
There's a lot of things on PBC that really,
Who wins?
Man, you know what? Oh, listen, this is sick because I know time is running and I gotta go. But I want to make a double fight bet.
Kovalev Canelo, we're on for that one.
Eric,
you going down,
with
son.
our retirement package. You're just getting the fight. Listen. We got the fight bet going on, right? But I want to make a double fight bet with Beeb, so I want to take the title away from Beeb. Beeb! Taking that title, baby. We're keeping it on Beantown, but it's going to be on my house.
Okay, what do you want to bet on?
Beeb!
What do you want to bet on?
On the Kovalev.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take Canelo.
So you got Canelo too, right?
Yeah, we'll take Canelo.
You guys sleeping, yo.
Yeah, we told you we'll take Canelo.
You guys sleeping on the man beater. You guys sleeping, yo, but that's gonna be your demise. And here on this border shit, man, I don't dare, man, cause Spence could be the truth. So it will be unwise for me to put any private on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Porter beat him. I will tell you that much. So my opinion is like a 45-55.
I would be
it's just
completely
a little
shocked.
edge for the Spence.
I would be
But it's
surprised.
just a little edge, and then like Spence is gonna dominate him like that. You guys tripping. I want to see when Porter hit him with a couple headbutts, see what's gonna happen.
Nothing.
See if he get caught or some shit like that.
Nothing.
We never see him in adversity. What do you mean?
Telling you what, this is gonna be a one-sided fight. One-sided. Not even close.
That's why we don't know. And Porter can bring that adversity to be that moment that something happened. Don't go his way. It's true. And then we see what happens. If something don't go his way, what type of adjustment? He never been there. He never been there. When he went for Brook, yeah, Brook, okay, I give it to him, whatever. But let's see what happens. I ain't got much to say. Everybody on the shot is support the channel. Oh, I'm almost done with the video. Probably in 2 weeks, I'm dropping it. Exclusive, we here, Ringside Reporter. I'm out.
All right, Georgie. Very good. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think so. It took him a long time to just let us know who he thinks was going to win, didn't it?
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. That's right. From the UK, Hamed, you're live.
Yes, Eric.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Good?
What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I was just listening. Yeah. I was just listening to George's call. I think it will be more competitive. I don't know about picking Porter, but I don't think it'll be a whitewash. But I was arguing with the PBC Fruitcake Jason in the chat. He was saying Porter might get the decision. I highly doubt it. I don't think.
Nah.
I don't think unless Porter drops him once or maybe twice, Heyman is not going to let Spence lose that fight. He's going to make sure Spence wins that fight. Porter will have to win convincingly, or he'll have to put him down once or maybe even twice. I just think Porter in the past, he hasn't really got any favors. I know in the last couple of fights, but that's more to do with, in my opinion, to make the Spence fight. I think the marketing Spence, and I think Porter will have to try and win convincingly. It's a good fight. I do think Spence is the favorite and he should win. I am a bit worried about if I was a Spence fan. I am in the sense of I think Porter has got the style to maybe rough him up and make it a bit uncomfortable for Spence, but I just don't think Porter lands enough clean shots to beat him. I think Spence lands a more cleaner, harder shots. I think Spence should outbox him. I don't know about stoppage, but I think Spence should win. Maybe on points, that's a safe bet. It might be a bit more competitive, but I do hope Porter wins because I'm kind of sick of this marinating stuff. Even though this is a good fight, like this is not a bad fight. And it's on, I think, Sky Sports here in the UK. But it's just what I think what's going to happen next after this fight. I don't think the Crawford Spence fight is going to happen. And what I'm hearing is Spence might fight Ugas. If Pacquiao elects to fight, I think it's Danny or Mikey. I think maybe if you say Danny, yeah. I think Spence has got nowhere to go if he beats Porter. He has to fight Crawford. What do you guys think? Do you think that'd be the best alternative, or
listen, man,
you don't mind him fighting someone like Ugas?
No, it's real simple, man. Listen, Spence and Crawford is the fight that everybody, especially if Spence gets past Porter, which we all think he will. That's the fight everybody wants to see is Spence Crawford. The bottom line is you're not going to see it anytime soon. Get used to it. I mean, that's the way it is. He'll fight Ugas next, or he'll fight whoever next. You will not see that fight anytime soon. And in the meantime, you're going to see Terrence Crawford fighting guys that that casual fans have never heard of, and maybe some of the hardcore fans never heard of either. He's on the other side of the street, and if he wants to fight these guys, he's going to have to cross over. I don't see that fight happening, man. Not anytime soon. This is a couple years away at best.
I don't see that. I was just going to say, though, Heyman has always been about making money as well. Recently, it's been known that he obviously cares more about keeping fights in-house. Well, if you're trying to make more money off a fight,
maybe so. Okay, well, maybe so. I mean, all the promoters are in it to make money, and I agree, but they're going to make more money in-house than they are, crossing the street and trying to make a deal with another promoter. What's, where are they going to have, where are they going to have the fight? What channel is it going to be on? What outlet's going to do? Is it going to be pay-per-view? Is it going to be on ESPN? You don't know. ESPN pay-per-view? Will it be a joint? That's a big, big fight, man.
What about Wilder Fury, though? I know the first fight is on Showtime. They still fight. I know that's a big generator fight, but what you're trying to say, it doesn't always apply. Like, for Wilder, I know what you're trying to say. I do get it. For most parts, he does do that. But for Fury, they're trying to make that fight. That's going to be a joint pay-per-view, and Fury is already got a contract with ESPN. I'm not sure.
Two different promoters.
Look,
two different promoters.
That's true. That's true. But Fury is promoted by Top Rank as well, and he's with Adam as well. I know he's also with Frank Warren. He also has got a deal with ESPN and Bob Arum. I was going to say, though, with Thurman out the picture and if Pacquiao's not willing to fight, I just find it hard to see making him. Maybe they might just keep doing that, making fights with guys like Ugas and that. I might be wrong. I just think if the opportunity is there to make a lot of money, and that's a big pay-per-view, I don't know why you wouldn't take it. If you got two belts and one Pacquiao's go, then if you can't get the Pacquiao fight, you might as well take that fight. I was going to say, another thing is with the Quillin fight. I think Quillin was another guy that's been ruined by Heyman. At one point, I thought he was a promising middleweight. I don't think it's the real deal.
That's not Heyman's fault.
A bit flawed.
I mean, it's not Heyman's fault. I mean, he was expected to win against Jacobs. We talked about that earlier. He was expected to win against Jacobs. I mean, I don't think Heyman ruined him. I think that he ruined him, you know?
Yeah, but he had the belt, and he was meant to fight Kolbert. And I was going to get to the point. I was just saying, inside the ring, I don't think it's a finished article, which he didn't help himself as well. But he was meant to fight Kolbert, and they threw that belt in the bin. I think that was down to Heyman. He was his manager, and they turned down, Quillin turned down a lot of money for that, but whatever his team. And then from there on, I think he got knocked out by Jacobs. He hasn't done much. I think at that time he might have beaten Kolbert because him and Lee had a draw. I thought he beat Lee. I know they both dropped each other, but then Lee went on to, I know you can't know his triangle series, but Lee went on to beat Kolbert. At that time, I think Quillin might have beaten him. But I thought that was like a fight that he didn't help. I don't think he done the greatest job. Ruin maybe is a bit extreme, but I thought that was another fight. And last night, I think Quillin and Angulo put on a great fight, don't get me wrong, but they both way past. Angulo, I'm surprised how he pulled that off. I thought he won clearly, but he looked old himself. Quillin, I think he needs to call it a day. He's going to get seriously hurt as well.
Yeah, I'd agree too. Ahmed, we're going to have to get going, man. Thank you so much for your call. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
One more call, 732, New Jersey, Beeb, New Jersey. You're live.
Hey,
I think he just cut out. Oh, no. Are you there?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, I'm here. What's going on, Eric? What's going on, Beeb?
How are you, man?
How are you? Who's this?
I'm doing great. You guys got a good show going on tonight. What's going on to Georgie, too? I just got a couple thoughts on the Spence-Porter fight. That's a good fight coming up.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a tougher fight than you guys are looking out. You know, you guys are thinking that Porter is some kind of pushover, but man, Porter's been in with the best of them. He's got a very storied amateur career. His amateur career is probably better than Errol Spence's, and he is no pushover, man. He is not going to go folding. You guys calling this TKO at the 9th round. When have you ever seen Porter so weak that you're so willing to say that he's going to fold in the 9th round? That's a crazy prediction.
Well, just like I said, I mean, how does Porter beat Spence? How does he do it? You tell us. How does he beat Spence?
I'm not saying that necessarily he beats him, but he's going to put the pressure on him. He's going to put the pressure on him like he's never felt before, and he's going to be in Spence's chest all night. You know, he's going to smother his work like he always does, but he's going to give Spence some looks that he's never seen. He's probably going to be the biggest body that Spence has ever been in with, and he's going to be in his chest all night. I like the idea that Spence is going to be able to land cleanly. It's not going to be that easy to land cleanly when you got someone in your chest.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, hey, that's why they fight the fights, man. That's why they fight them. You bring up some good points. Interesting, man.
Yeah, because he's been in with the best kind of competition. He's been in with Keith Thurman. He's been in with Danny Garcia. He's been in with Kolbert. You know, he never went down. No, not at least with those guys. He went with a guy from Ohio. He went down from him. That was about it.
AB, son. AB. Titletown.
Exactly.
Why are you laughing,
that was the only time he's been down, I think, his whole career, I think.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think that Adrian Bronner, when he put him down in the 12th round. What'd you say, Beeb?
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, it was the only time. Bronner, baby.
Probably going to go down.
We bring it from Cincinnati.
He's never really shown a lot of vulnerability.
He looked kind of vulnerable in the Brook fight.
The Ugas fight, I thought.
He got hit in the Brook fight, but he kept coming forward pretty much. The Ugas fight might have been actually his most vulnerability.
Yeah.
I don't think he looked good. I don't think he looked good in the Ugas fight either.
No, I don't either.
He's getting stopped, brother. I'm sorry.
Beeb calling it.
He's getting stopped in 9 rounds. I'm sorry. His aggression is gonna be his worst enemy in this fight.
I have a feeling he's not going to be that aggressive in this fight. I think he's going to try to box him. I think he is going to try to box him. I believe, anyway.
Hey, Georgie, thanks for calling, brother. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. First time caller, man. I think this is the first time.
Georgie.
Yeah, call back, man.
Call back, man. We like different voices, man. Every now and then.
Absolutely, man. Calling all the way from the Garden State, New Jersey, baby.
At least we have a Georgie that has a normal phone.
Yeah, he's not at Rikers. He doesn't have a time limit on getting out, because lights out. So there you go. All right, let's get to our news and rumors here. So, Beeb, this is awesome. I mean, if you've ever had like that girlfriend that's on again, off again, and maybe you're thinking, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. Listen, this is a love story you're going to appreciate. Ryan Garcia signs a new deal with Golden Boy. After trashing each other on social media, coming out, I hate you, no, I hate you more. They both signed, man. Golden Boy and Ryan Garcia went behind closed doors. Beeb took it all the way behind closed doors.
What does this deal entail? Do you know?
A lucrative contract. That's what it entails, Beeb. A lucrative contract. Don't take my word for it. That's the word of Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy. They said, quote, it's a lucrative contract. Ryan Garcia had this to say, actions speak louder than words. I'm here today to show everybody that I consider Golden Boy my family and that we're going to be in this together as I fulfill my dreams. Just like I have all the capabilities to become a big star, Golden Boy, well, they have all the tools to get me there. But I just want to tell all of our fans, enjoy the ride. That's so nice, man. I don't know about you, but I like it.
That's
touch right here.
It's pulling at my heartstrings.
Me too. It's like a Hallmark, one of those Hallmark movies you watch on the holidays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it's like. That is what it's like. It's like that Hallmark movie. That Hallmark minute. I like it. I like it a lot. Pulls up my heartstrings. So this next one is pretty interesting too. Canelo versus Kovalev. All right. We announced last week that it'll take place on November 2nd. The problem, all right, is that Canelo Kovalev will go up against UFC 244.
Stupid.
And UFC 244 is on pay-per-view. And in case you're wondering who the headliner is for UFC 244, it's going to be Nate Diaz at Madison Square Garden. Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. If you're a UFC fan, this is a dream fight. You don't get much bigger than this one. This is humongous. Anytime Nate Diaz fights, I mean, he's got a huge following. Jorge Masvidal is the same way. He's got a huge following. These are two of the baddest guys in the UFC, and they're going to square up on November 2nd. I got to watch both of them. I'm going to figure out a way to watch both of them, Beeb.
It's going to be hard.
Hey, right?
But
right?
Who had the date first? Oscar,
UFC. Right? UFC had the date first.
Oh, they did.
UFC had the date first in Madison Square Garden. That was a dumb move.
What is Oscar doing?
That was seriously a bad move.
Doing, Eric?
He's a moron, son. He's a moron. I mean, let's face it, man. That is a bad move.
Does well at the box office too, man. He's a popular fighter, bro.
Did you see Jorge Masvidal's last fight?
Yeah.
Against Ben Askren, that flying knee in like 2 seconds, put him away.
Yeah.
This guy's a fan favorite. Everybody loved Masvidal. He was the one that used to fight with Kimbo in Miami on the street fight. You know, the YouTube fights where you see him. You can still watch them now.
I remember.
Backyard guy. It's huge. Huge fight. Yeah. And Ryan Garcia apparently is going to be the undercard for the Canelo Kovalev fight. I think he'll be the co-main or whatever. And they think he's going to fight that guy Duno.
Yeah, he's fighting that guy Duno.
The Filipino guy.
He is fighting him.
Yeah, so we'll see, man. We'll see how that goes. Real quick, man, you want to do a fight cast? We're going to do a fight cast on the Spence fight, right?
I'd like to, yeah.
Yeah, let's do a fight cast on that. So if you guys tune in, we'll be watching the fight and kind of announcing the fight or whatever. You guys can tune in as you watch it, or just if you don't want to pay for it, hey, tune in to us and we'll tell you about it. The other thing is we're gonna try to have another show this week, like a Spence-Porter countdown show type thing, where we kind of really break down the fight and everything like that, and kind of go from top to bottom with it.
Like after the weigh-in.
Yeah, like after the weigh-in type thing. Yeah, because that'll be interesting too. That weigh-in. See how the guys look. I'm expecting both guys to come in pretty good shape, you know. Speaking of guys in good shape, Keith Thurman is back on the sideline. Keith Thurman took to social media this week to let everyone know that he's back on the sideline again.
Oh, God.
Thurman wrote, "I recently had surgery on my left hand to deal with a nagging injury. I feel great. Can't wait to get back in the ring in early 2020. My injuries have been frustrating, but thanks to your support, I'm determined to become a champ again soon. #one time." Listen, it is really annoying that but at least he doesn't have a title to take hostage now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, that's the long and short. At least he doesn't have a title to sit there and take hostage.
I'm so glad Pacquiao won that fight.
You know what? I am too. I really am. Because could you imagine if he did eke out that fight and now he's on the shelf again in 2020 talking trash about Porter and Spence and everybody else?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's not. I don't think Pacquiao's going to fight Spence anytime soon either.
I don't think so either. I think there's no way they're doing that.
I just don't see that happening.
So, Beeb, we would both agree that the World Boxing Super Series is pretty awesome, right? I mean, I love it.
Oh, yeah, I enjoy it.
I love it. I love any kind of tournament like this. But I mean, they've had some great fights this time around. They're looking at heavyweights on the tournament for the next time around. They're going to do this again, and they're going to put heavyweights on the bill. The problem, which sounds awesome, but the problem is that there's no Deontay Wilder, Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. None of those guys would not be included.
There's not even a Daniel Dubois or Joe Joyce. There's not.
Dubois maybe, but
okay.
Maybe, but
at least have guys like, if they have guys like Dubois, Joe Joyce.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Maybe Povetkin or Hughie Fury or something.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, like, I'm not that interested in it. I mean, Hughie Fury, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
probably not him. No, you're right.
Anybody but him, you know. But yeah, it's not I don't know. It's not really that interesting to me, you know. Not without the big guys in there.
At least the junior welterweights had like really good fighters. They had like champions and stuff. If you're having a tournament and you don't have any champions in the tournament, then it's not really a great tournament.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No offense, I'm not looking forward to it.
Real quick, before we get out of here, you remember the Don King heavyweight tournament with Mike Tyson, and they had all three. Mike Tyson didn't belong to Don King at that time, did he? It wasn't his promoter, was it? Or was it?
I believe so. He was, yeah.
Was it? I thought that was when he had both managers, Jacobs and.
Was Tyson even champion at that time?
No.
No, you're right. You're correct.
And he was in that tournament to crown like an undisputed champion.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, why couldn't I guess the WBSS? I guess they're all established, so it would be really difficult to do. But man, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And then Billy Joe Saunders officially will be fighting on the undercard of KSI Logan Paul. Who cares? Who cares? Are you excited for the Logan Paul fight?
I'm a little bit intrigued by it.
We're degenerates. We'll watch it.
I'll watch it.
That's the bottom. You know we're gonna watch it.
Well, it's on the zone, so I don't have to buy it. But yeah, I'll watch it.
Well, we are buying it. I guess isn't it funny how it's on DirecTV, we don't consider it buying it, or cable, we don't consider buying it, but we are buying it, you know?
We're paying for it.
Yeah, we suck. We suck.
What are we going to do?
I'm not going to do anything. I've just accepted my position in life.
Right?
That's all I can do. That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1. Find our YouTube channel on ringsidereporterlive.com. On Twitter, I'm at Ringside73, and we will see you next week.
Have a good everybody.